In the aftermath of the Obama, Biden, Clinton fundraiser, it is very clear that many people are rather appalled by the inaction by Joe Biden and his administration as the ongoing and continuous destruction of Gaza happens. Now, all of the media is saying, wow, Obama, Biden, and Clinton, they raked in a whopping $26 million for their fundraiser, to which I have to say there are a lot of sociopathic, ignorant establishment liberals in New York City. Now, I know due dissidents, Keaton and Russell, they definitely gave their 2 cents in regards to just how horribly corrupt and disgusting that whole event was. And knowing full well that people spent $250,000 to maybe potentially $500,000 just to hear three war criminals. I mean, three sitting former presidents. Well, obviously, two former presidents, one current president, speak, and then take photographs with them. I mean, it's nothing but a overblown, overhyped event in which people are smelling their own farts. Okay, that's the best way to describe that entire thing. And of course, you had some heroic individuals speak out, but looking back at it now, they should have smuggled in maybe a large speaker or some kind of microphone or something of which that would have really interrupted the event. But nonetheless, corporate media wanted to give its perspective and give it up for CNN with Wolf Blitzer, the world's most boring man, as he has a former from Jank's favorite organization, the CIA, representative, Alyssa Stolkin, asked about the ceasefire now outside of Radio City. So, oh my goodness, what's going on? Let's go ahead and pull up this video here and shout out to Case Study QB. Let's play it.
It was a show of unity for Democrats on stage in New York City last night at the Radio City Music Hall. But protesters, both inside and outside, highlighted one very deep division in the party when it comes to Gaza right now. Is President Biden, Congresswoman, doing enough to address these concerns?
Yeah, well, I think what you're hearing is people who feel angry and upset and dehumanized, and they want to be heard. And I think the president, as I think they tried to explain a little bit in the meeting last night or in the event last night, he's having a very open conversation in public with Bibi Netanyahu about the day after planning and Rafah and humanitarian aid.
The day after planning, Rafah, military operations are still happening. People are still getting blown up. People are still being shot. Men, women, children being run over. Men, women, and children being starved to death. Day after. Last I checked, Netanyahu isn't lifting a single finger. He isn't raising an eyebrow or making a shocked, concerned face about what's happening to the people of Rafah. We have covered in numerous articles, as has all of independent media, videos, footage, pictures of what is happening there. And we have all talked about it. And it's very clear that the IDF is still continuing its military operations in Gaza. And the city of Rafah, home to 1.5 million people, their lives are continuously at risk.
I think that's, usually when you have an allied relationship, those conversations, those tough conversations happen behind closed doors. They're now happening out in the open for the whole world to see, and they need to continue to happen. And I think that, the president is being earnest when he's saying he's trying to exert pressure. I think there are levers that he's pulling right now. And the fact
I also want to pull up this comment here by Bad Cookies, and it's something that I have also been asking myself too. My biggest problem is how many of them are going to turn around and vote duopoly. Statistically speaking, at least 1/4 of that protest will vote duopoly. And the thing is, that is one of my biggest concerns with the uncommitted vote. And that is something I'll be asking a lot of activists, especially who will be protesting the DNC convention. Are you going to follow through with voting no for either party, or are you going to maybe vote Biden? Or dare I say it, if anything does happen at the DNC convention where the Democrats pick somebody else other than Biden, will they vote Democrat? I'm going to keep saying this on my show for however long I'm still here. The two-party system is designed to keep you in the dark. Both parties do not like you. They don't think about you. They don't respect you. Both parties are owned by corporations. They say they care about the issues, but they don't. Go ahead and check out what your favorite U.S. Senator or U.S. House Representative is doing on Unusual Whales. And I do have to bring it up because what will you find? How deeply invested they are in playing the game with Wall Street. All what they care about is expanding their financial portfolios. They don't care about social issues. And if you think the Democrats care about Gaza, you think the Democrats care about women's rights or anything else of that nature, it is all just for show, smoke and mirrors. You'll find more realism in the script for the WWE than you'll find anything in Washington, D.C.
That, last week we were having trips canceled and all that stuff. It's just highly unusual in a long bipartisan relationship that we've had between the U.S. and Israel.
It's significant. The Washington Post is now reporting, Congresswoman, just now, that the Biden administration has quietly authorized the transfer of a new arms package for Israel, including more 2,000-pound bombs linked to previous mass casualty events in Gaza, as you know. How will Michigan voters react to this? And is it time for President Biden to put conditions on military aid to Israel?
I want to pull up this article here from Common Dreams. Obscene. Biden quietly okays more than 2,000-pound bombs. Warplanes for Israel. So remember, just because you heard good old U.S. Senator Chucky Boy Schumer say, oh, there should be immediate elections after the war. He said after the war. They're not stopping military operations at all. Despite growing worldwide calls for an arms embargo, the Biden-Harris administration, because you got to include Kamala Harris, she's the VP after all, is in recent days has approved a transfer of billions of dollars. Wow. Isn't that something? They're so broke that we can't fix our roads or our bridges or our airplanes or anything else of that nature. But we got billions of dollars worth of new weapons shipments to Israel, including warplanes and 2,000-pound bombs that have been dropped on densely populated areas of Gaza with devastating results. But hey, it's okay. You know what's going to happen with those rubble homes? They're going to be used to make additional ports. And in case you don't know what I'm referencing, we covered a few weeks ago how there are ship supplies coming in through Gaza, but oh no, there isn't a port available. So they're using the ruined remains of homes. Chances are people died in those homes who couldn't get out in time. That port is built upon the bodies of the people of Gaza. The Washington Post reported Friday that the administration has quietly authorized arms shipments, including more than 1,800 Mk-84 2,000-pound bombs and 500 Mk-82 500-pound bombs, as well as 25 F-35A fighter jets and engines worth approximately $2.5 billion. The transfers are the latest of more than 100 arms shipments authorized by the Biden administration since the October 7th attack on Israel. Quietly, Palestinian-American writer and political analyst Yusuf Meir scoffed in the response to the report. This is cowardly from the administration, the Biden-Harris administration. If you are going to be full backers of genocide, own it. We see you and history sees you as well. So see, vote blue. Remember in 2020 when all you liberal Democrats who were scared of, oh no, another Trump presidency. Oh no, Donald Trump's going to destroy us all. You were saying he was going to lead us to World War III. You said he was going to lead to unchecked destruction. Well, turns out that's happening under good old Joe Biden. Let's return back to the video.
Well, look, I haven't seen that exact report, but my assumption is that those things were approved previously because we haven't had an aid package come up to us in the House, that comprehensive aid package that we've been talking about, I think, for months with Ukraine and Taiwan and Israel. But look, I mean, this is the importance of being on the same page with the Israelis. Defensive weapons, of course, the Israelis have to be able to defend themselves and protect themselves from rockets and mortars from both coming from Gaza, but also from the north. I don't think anyone's quibbling with that. But this is why it's so important to have a aligned understanding of what the plan is and why more humanitarian aid can't get in to help people. And so I think that certainly you can understand why people in Michigan and throughout the country are trying to understand what the play is here.
This is a word salad by somebody pretending to care. And remember, she's former CIA. Okay? Just remember, she's saying nothing. Okay, she has said nothing of value.
Or when they can see pictures of people hungry and starving, begging for food in the.
By the way, hold up, Lawrence Johnson with the win. Wolf, wake up! I know you don't want to be here, but Wolf Blitzer, wake the up.
Middle of Gaza. So I haven't seen the exact reports, but that is, I can understand why that would be a point of real concern.
Yeah, it would be a point of real concern. A huge concern. You want to know why? Here's why. The Biden administration arms shipments to Israel continue despite urgent pleas from the United Nations officials, international human rights groups, and some progressive U.S. lawmakers. Those progressive lawmakers don't give a damn. To stop arming Israel's 175-day Gaza onslaught, during which Israel bombs and bullets have killed more than 32,600 Palestinians. That number is much higher, mostly women and children, while wounding over 75,000 others. That number is higher, and damaging or destroying hundreds of thousands of homes, schools, hospitals, mosques, and other structures. The International Court of Justice in January found that Israel is plausibly committing genocide in Gaza and ordered the country to prevent genocidal acts. However, Israel has been accused of ignoring the ICJ order and amid ongoing atrocities, including the forced starvation of Palestinians. The court on Thursday issued another order demanding that Israel allow desperately needed humanitarian aid into Gaza. Last December, when the death toll in Gaza stood approximately 18,000, Joe Biden implored the far-right government of Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, to stop Israel's indiscriminate bombing of Palestinian civilians in the embattled enclave. To which, what did he do? He gave him this, the middle finger right here. And however, U.S. support for Israel has already included nearly $4 billion in annual military aid, has continued unabated, with the Biden administration seeking an additional $14.3 million in armed assistance and repeatedly bypassing Congress to fast-track emergency weapons shipments. So isn't that fantastic? So here, discussing how Democrats are handling ceasefire protests.
And Basil, meanwhile, Mike mentioned the protests that were carried out inside Radio City. There were some also outside Radio City. What do you make of how Democrats are handling the protests and the issue of the United States policy towards Israel and its policy of how Israel is handling the war in Gaza?
Two things. I think what Barack Obama said in response to the protests is like, look, we have a big tent party. We don't want a party that has a singular voice, a singular narrative, because that's what you're getting on the other side.
Oh wow! So see, you got the biggest fraud ever. The biggest fraud ever. Barack Obama. When I hear that name, I'm reminded of all the things he allowed to happen under his administration, getting rid of habeas corpus, whistleblowers and journalists being arrested. We went from 2 wars to 7 wars, and those that caused the economic collapse in 2008 got away with it under his administration. Oh, we got to look forward, not backwards, forward. And so when Obama talks like this and saying, oh, we're a big tent party, people are leaving your big tent party. It's going to be one big old echo chamber, Barack Obama. I do hope that people are going to be consistent and not fall for the trap of, oh no, we gotta support old man Biden because Donald Trump's bad.
And that suggests their values, but it really talked a lot about democratic values, that we're willing to have these conversations and these tough conversations, quite frankly. And yes, I do believe that these protests have signaled a larger movement, among a lot of voters, particularly a lot of young voters. But we see also that these protests and these conversations, particularly a lot of those votes that we've seen for this uncommitted candidate in Michigan, Wisconsin, has actually impacted the administration's language and view and position with respect to the war between Israel and Hamas. So it's reminiscent to some extent of when I was a young voter and I was protesting apartheid in South Africa. These protests work. That voice does work, and it does move the needle. And owing to what former President Barack Obama said, that's the Democratic Party of today.
God, nothing but word salad. I'm sorry to have exposed all of you to that. So, you know what? My apologies. I'm sorry to you, my beautiful viewing audience. Here's something that'll warm your heart. This was outside of Radio City when all those latte drinking, vote blue no matter who, quote unquote liberals who spent 100, and now not all of them spent 100,000 or 250,000 or $500,000 for a ticket. Some of those tickets were $250, which is, I guess, affordable in the liberal mindset. But all these suckers walking out, they're confronted by the activists and organizers. And I think that this one here really stood out the most. May it warm your heart like it warmed my heart.
Enjoy Trump because we're not voting for Biden ever. Enjoy Trump. We hope you love him. We'll be the same. We're not voting for Biden. Enjoy Trump. We're never voting for Biden. Y'all pay for dead babies. Y'all pay for dead babies. What's wrong with you? How much money did you give Joe Biden? Y'all paying for dead babies. Enjoy Trump. We're never voting for Biden.
And I do like that. I do like that because here, when you see imagery like this, again, it's a total destruction by Israel. And this is a hospital area. This is the destruction. This is where all that aid is coming from. What the aid is going into. Absolute destruction. Absolute destruction. Communities, homes, families forever destroyed. Here.
Palestine went from this to this, and it didn't happen overnight.
Now, this is 1946, and this is what was once the former borders of Israel and Palestine. (1947). (1949), we get the West Bank and Gaza. And already, how can you not look me in the eye and say that this isn't genocide? This is all acceptable, apparently, according to the IDF as well as to our U.S. politicians. They're okay with this. And what can we learn from what we saw at Radio City in New York City, when we saw 3 presidents, 2 former, 1 current, who is probably still senile, he doesn't know where he's at, talking to people and talking to that liberal crowd? Well, they're all focused on Donald Trump and how bad he is, but they're ignoring the fact that people aren't buying their BS anymore. And I hope this serves as a lesson to all of you. When you get hypnotized by the two-party system, you become subservient. But it's only then when you wake up and you see through their hypocrisy, you see what they're willing to do. Look at the damages that the Democrats and, yes, Republican lawmakers have done to this country. And then look at what their policy has done overseas. Their actions reflect on us too. Their actions will forever haunt us as well. And what is made very clear, despite the protests, despite people speaking out, the Democrats will only offer word salad, but they're still going to deliver the bombs and the planes and the tanks and the bullets so that the horrific war crimes that are taking place in Gaza will continue. People are dying. The numbers are probably far more larger than we realize. And what this administration has made very clear, they don't hear you. They don't respect you. and they're going to demand your vote because they feel that it's entitled to them. You don't have to give those people a goddamn thing.